I think about my 30 some years of living in Montana, I think I've shot 5 mule deer and 24, 25 whitetail bucks. That should give you a little bit of an idea of how much of a whitetail bug I have. Well, this hunt is one that some people might think is a little strange, but for me it's one I've been looking forward to. I grew up in northern Minnesota and I still have the whitetail and the walleye bug. I will never probably get rid of those as long as I live. When I go whitetail hunting, now that I'm older and reflect on it, I sometimes wonder, am I really looking for a deer? Or am I just taking my mind back to a place and a time that was special? And so when I come out here to the west, most people would think, oh, that's mule deer country. And it is. There's some great mule deer hunting in the west, and I enjoy that too. But I think about the first deer I shot in Montana. It was a whitetail. And my son was with me, Matthew. He was 2 years old. And it was a special day then. My wife was with me. We went out and hunted a little creek bottom, and there was a whitetail with a doe. And since then, coming and doing these whitetail hunts, it is my place for a real injection of peace and enjoyment. I know some serious whitetail hunters really put a lot of effort into it. It's a year-round thing for them. The amount of time and work they're putting into whitetail hunting is intense. And it maybe is a little bit like what a lot of us do for elk hunting in the West. But for me, that's not what whitetails are about. Whitetails are about coming here, enjoying what it is, looking at the landscape, thinking about deer, thinking about the fond memories I have growing up hunting whitetails, and hoping that forever there are places for young kids and old people like me to sit in the creek bottoms and hunt whitetails. Well, it's my first morning here to actually hunt in Wyoming. We got 3.5 days to hunt, maybe 4 if we want to press the issue. There's a second choice tag. I got it as a second choice. I love hunting whitetails, so I thought, what the heck? Might as well put that as a second choice. Gonna be hunting some smaller parcels. You know, a lot of people think Wyoming, great big land, you know, big country area, and it usually is. But these are gonna be small, you know, 160 to 320 acre parcels. Where we're starting this morning just so happens to be a whole bunch of those stacked in a line following a drainage. So we got about 3 miles up and 3 miles back. See if there's any deer here. I grew up hunting whitetails, so watching whitetails do their goofy thing in the rut of November is still something that I don't know that I'll ever get rid of, that passion for that. I love doing it. So sun will be up here in about 15 minutes and we'll start trucking away. Wish us luck. If this doesn't work, because we just buzzed around last night for just 20 minutes. If this spot doesn't work, we're gonna go back to town, hook up the Kawasaki, and drive out on the BLM, and there's some drainages that come down in this river bottom, and maybe we could catch a deer coming up, pushing a doe up or one of those drainages or something. So enough tactics to try. I just hope that I find one. And I will assure you, with only 3 days to hunt on a second choice tag, if it's a 3.5-year-old deer, it's getting shot at. Unless Jace just tells me he's gonna fire me if I shoot it. But it might be done in 20 minutes from now, or it might not get done at all. But you're not gonna see me be real picky. Oh yeah, they're muleys. 3 of them. Where do they go? They're gonna go up that ridge. For me, I just love watching deer. So to sit here in a creek bottom and know that at any moment some ruddy buck might come walking by or pushing a doe, I'll do that all day. And I might only see 1 deer a day, or maybe some days I'll see 10 deer. I'm not gonna see tons and tons of deer. And yeah, the biggest of the big bucks probably aren't gonna come through here. They're gonna stay down where the prime habitat is. But a lot of those bucks that are getting booted out of there that don't really have the premium home range, they're going to be traveling. And that's my chance to take advantage of one of them. One thing about it, if one comes through here, we're not going to have a shot over 120 yards. So we walk in there and get to this spot that I want to be at, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not very optimistic, because this piece of ground, when they've had the cattle in there and grazed it, it is hit really hard. The sage has been hit hard. There's not much grass left. The only cover are these little bits of trees, and I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if a deer would even use this as sparse as it is. But we got a big grain field up there about 1 mile. We got a big alfalfa field down here about a 1/2 mile. Maybe, just maybe, they'll come through. And Jason and I are sitting there, and I don't know where this buck came from. But I look, and there's a buck there at about 100 yards. There he is. Like, he just popped up out of the ground or something. I'm like, Jace, right there, a buck, right here. And I get in the shooting position, and he's facing away from me. And I see his antlers aren't even as wide as his ears. He looks like he's a 3x3, or maybe had a little 4th point out there. And I'm waiting for him to turn, Finally, he hears us in our commotion, and he turns and he looks at us. And I think he's a 2.5-year-old buck. And we're only a 1/2 hour into a hunt that we drove 6 or 7 hours to get to. I just let him walk away. Could have easily shot him, but it was really comforting. It was a validation of what I thought might happen. I could have killed him many times, but I think he was only 2.5. He would have been slightly bigger. We'd be done already. He just came out of nowhere. That's crazy. Well, we were hoping that there'd be some bugs traveling this corridor. We got one so far. He just isn't. He needed to be 1 year older. It's the rut. You never know where they're gonna be. They move a lot. So I'd rather just sit here in a really good funnel. See if they come to us. Because this is one of the few pieces of public land that has good proximity to agriculture. And you just know that when you have agriculture around, that's going to attract whitetails. But just need one 3.5-year-old buck. Well, I'd take a 4.5 or 5.5. But I don't know, if he was a 2.5, it'd be tempting. But yeah, 3.5 or older. Sticking to that. Pretty nippy this morning. I think when we left the truck it was 12 degrees. Warming up though with the sun. It's nice. gonna get a chance to use this on a deer this morning. NOSLER came out with this new Whitetail Country. It's a deer specific ammo. It's impact extruded, so you're gonna get super good reliability and consistency in a solid base bullet. This is 165 grain that I've been shooting in my 308. Shoots really good at the range. So, I'll be interested to see that buck there. He almost got shot just because I wanted to see how well this bullet does on deer. I'm sure it's going to do great, but probably the really nice part about it, as expensive as ammunition has got in the last 10 years, it's $34.99 a box, which is a whole lot easier on the wallet than the $80, $100 a box stuff. I'll let you know how it works. Gonna go check out some new territory. I had one buck, 100 yards or so. Could easily shot him, but he just wasn't quite that next age class. So. Still fun. So we sat there till, I don't know. I remember telling Jace, we're gonna stay here till 10 o'clock, and then we're gonna hike back to the truck. We'd go get the Kawasaki. We'd go way in on some of these BLM areas, and we'd come in around the back side. And we wouldn't be able to get down to the ag fields at all, but I knew some of those deer have to push and go bed up in those little BLM segments. So that's the plan, and Jace, we're walking out, and we go over this little rise, and I see the truck out there where we park, maybe about 300 yards away, and I see something out of the corner of my eye. Look, and there's a little buck down there about 100 yards, maybe not even 100 yards, and he's looking at us. And all of a sudden you can hear him makes this noise, and you see this white tail going. I'm like, oh, dang it. Yeah, he wasn't that big anyhow. Well, then out of the same patch of brush comes a really nice buck and a doe.
He looked like a good one.
Yeah. I see the one way over there. Oh, there he is, right there.
Yes.
See him? On him.
Yep.
Just like that. Well, there's the truck right there. There's a little piece of state land right here that we're hunting. Yep, he's right down in the bottom of that state land. I think he's dead. He got drilled. Did you hear that? We're walking out, skating through the mud, and a little buck ran out right here. And then this buck I just shot at, along with the doe, came out. And the doe stayed down in there, and the buck kept looking down at her, and he wouldn't leave. I think that was a fatal mistake on his part. I don't know what to say, folks. I just left the dial at 100 and I had it on 3 power. And he was quartering towards me. Good job, Dave. How did we get that to come together that quickly? I mean, there's the truck right there.
Yeah, we're about 400 yards from the truck.
400 yards from the truck, walking out. But I think what happens down here is all alfalfa and agriculture. I think those bucks push these does up in these little fingers, and they bed like right where they were bedded. And he hasn't come out of there. His doe hasn't come out of there. The little buck, I saw him. He kept running. He never stopped. He just like, I'm getting out of here. The other buck was standing around. Should have been paying attention, but he wouldn't. All right, should we go down there, Jace?
Take a look.
If this is how it all comes together, this is gonna be crazy. I'm just shaking my head. That happened so fast. Well, folks, I said if I saw a 3.5-year-old or better, I'd probably have to shoot him. And I wish I could say that he expired right away, but he didn't. He ran over here close to the truck. He died right there. I saw him running this way and I took another shot and he came over here and died. And fortunately for us, our friendly Warden Jake was over there at the highway watching the whole thing. And he's here. He's gonna take a CWD sample. He asked me if I wanted the cape, and I'd rather get a CWD sample out of it. But boy, he's got gunk. He's been rubbing like crazy. Broke one off over here. Very nice buck. I'm very happy for a second choice tag. If you told me I was going to get a buck like this on a second choice tag, I said, you're crazy. And people know my craziness about whitetails, so there we go. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, mister. Sorry about that. I wish it would have worked perfect. Wyoming Game and Fish, you have some great people. Every warden, biologist, person I've run into and worked with Wyoming Game and Fish has been a top-notch person. And then after the buck had expired, he asked if he could come and take a CWD sample. He looked at this deer and he said, look, this is a really healthy deer. For mid-November, he's got a lot of fat. His antler growth looks exceptional for a 3.5-year-old deer. I don't think this guy's got CWD, but you never know. So CWD is real. And I know a lot of people will say, well, we're never gonna this, we're never gonna that. You know what? Maybe we aren't gonna cure it, but we have to manage it. We have to manage in whatever ways are working. And all the scientists will tell you that, hey, we don't have all the answers, but we're trying, and we need the help of hunters to figure out what are the best management practices with a high prevalence of CWD, or to try reduce the prevalence of CWD. So it was fun to talk to him and get just a little more background about the area, about the season types, why they're trying to focus on some of these whitetail hunts in Wyoming. So once we did that, I quartered up the deer and we hauled it to the truck, which didn't even require Mr. Inch packs. I wish I could tell you that this was so much work, but the truck was only 300 yards away. Well, we got the deer taken care of. Can't tell you how grateful I feel to have a wonderful Wyoming buck like this. He broke this off over here, but you know what? For a second choice tag that other non-residents didn't want, I'm pretty happy. Now we got to go boil the skull. Can't take it back to Montana, or most states for that matter, because Wyoming is a CWD positive state. So we're going to boil the skull, take care of a bunch of other stuff, let the meat hang up in the rack of my Go Fast tonight and cool really good. Gonna grab our stuff and get going. Got everything cleaned up here and pretty excited. That didn't take long. It took longer to drive down here than it did to get a buck around the ground. But anyhow, thanks for watching, folks. Thanks to Wyoming for having these type of hunts. They require a high level of patience. They require a different approach. You know, for some people it's going to be super frustrating and they'd never have fun on a hunt like this. But I'm glad they have them. There aren't a lot of them, but for people like me who are whitetail junkies, even living in the West, they're an opportunity that I want to take advantage of, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for just the fact that I have places. We have even these little pieces of BLM, right? A lot of people say, oh, that's only 100 acres. We should just get rid of that. I hope not, because these little 100-acre pieces, these 300-acre pieces, these are places that someone might be pheasant hunting, someone might be deer hunting, someone might have their tree stand in there. And I'm thankful they exist. I'm thankful that we have these whitetails out here. And I just feel so blessed that I had this opportunity. And even though it only lasted less than 4 hours, it's still a special memory for me.